Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something extremely exciting, at least as far as I'm concerned, to take a look at, because this is my very first Hiya Toys Godzilla figure. Now, I don't know if this is going to put to rest my wants and needs to get these Hiya Toy Godzilla figures, or if this is just going to open up a whole new, brand new obsession for me, because, you know, it may not have been the best idea to grab one of these, even though I love Godzilla, because I feel like they look really good, really high quality, and I feel like it's also going to make me obsessed with getting all of them, which I actually have almost all of them pre-ordered currently. In fact, once the pre-orders are done, I think the only one that I won't have is the original Godzilla vs. Kong figure they released, which I think was the first one that they had ever released. But regardless, we have the Godzilla King of the Monsters figure here, and really nice box art, you know, straight out of the gate. I can say I am a fan of the box art that we have here. The only thing that's a little bit sad for these figures is when you see the box art, you can't get like a sneak peek of the figure, not like NECA where you open it up and you can see the figure inside. This, you don't get to see the figure until you actually open it, which, I mean, I guess, you know, depending on the way you look at it, that could be a good thing, because maybe it's like a big surprise when you get it out and see how nice it is. But again, nice images there on the front of the box. Here on the side, you can see Godzilla King of the Monsters, and then here on the back, I think it's the same thing, yeah, same thing over there. And then here on the back, another shot there of the figure kind of giving us a nice evil glare, and the Godzilla King of the Monsters logo up there. So I've been waiting quite some time for this pre-order to go through on Big Bad Toy Store. I'm beyond excited to get a look at this, so let's pop it out of the box and do exactly that. So here is our Godzilla now out of the packaging, and yeah, I must say I'm very impressed. This thing is actually really nicely done. You know, when you go from collecting NECA Godzilla figures, which I don't have all of them, I have a good bit, but not all of them. My son has all of them that has ever been released, but, you know, you spend so many years looking at NECA and all of their Godzilla figures, and then you see a different company like Hiya Toys. I must say, again, their paintwork is definitely superior to what we get with NECA. Even though the NECA figures are pretty good, this thing is absolutely phenomenal when it comes to the paintwork. Definitely a bit of a higher quality than what you get with NECA. The sculpt also looks great, which is, of course, a huge plus for this figure. Very highly detailed. I'm pretty excited to check out the articulation, as we have loads of that as well. So, as always, let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at it right now. So, something that I often do, as soon as I open a figure, one of the first places I usually look is the face, because the face is probably one of the more defining areas of any sort of a dinosaur creature, and that was exactly what I did here with this one. You know, the face is extremely impressive when it comes to the paintwork, and I can say for sure the paintwork of the face is definitely, again, a much higher quality than what I'm used to when it comes to articulated Godzilla figures. The paintwork has lots of variation of color, honestly, with, you know, different variations of browns as well as very dark grays, which is pretty much the coloration of Godzilla. And you can see, maybe if my camera would focus on it, you can see the eyes, again, are painted really nicely. And considering how small those eyes are, that paintwork is pretty impressive in that area. And again, hopefully you can see how nice the like washes and stuff that are applied to this look. You can see they kind of creep in and out of each and every crack and crevice of the face of Godzilla, which is exactly what you do see in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and in fact I would say in pretty much any of the newer legendary Godzilla films. We do have an articulated jaw, which opens pretty wide, pretty nicely. Oh, it looks like we actually might have an articulated tongue in there as well. Maybe. It's hard to get in there. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So that's really cool. Definitely a very nice touch to have an articulated tongue as well. Again, as I said, this is my first attempt at checking out or owning a Hiya Toys release, so I'm not too used to their articulation or anything. The tongue looks really good. Very nice paintwork on it as well, which is a plus, and nice sculpt work. I wish they would have maybe added like a gloss coat in there. Same deal for the eyes. It kind of looks like the eyes might have one, but the inside of the mouth would have definitely benefited from a gloss coat of some kind, but it's not the end of the world. The teeth look pretty decent, maybe not perfect, but they look pretty good. The paintwork as well doesn't, like, you know, jump out at me when it comes to being sloppy or anything, but considering how small that head sculpt is there, you can see within my fingers, Godzilla has a pretty small head when it comes to the legendary design, and you can see that the teeth look pretty good, again, for the size of that head. Very, very impressive, again, when it comes to the sculpting and paintwork. As you begin to move back here into the neck, again, you can see absolutely phenomenal looking skin texture as well as paintwork. Again, we continue to have those different variations of, like, tan, khaki, and brownish tones kind of creeping through all of the different scales as well as cracks and crevices of the skin of Godzilla. And another thing that's really cool as I lead back here into this area is we do have quite a few areas of articulation, but honestly they've done such a good job with it, it's actually hard to completely figure out what areas are the articulated spots. So it looks like we've got at least 1, 2, yeah, maybe 3. It's hard to really tell, but it does give us some nice posability when it comes to turning the head of Godzilla. Up as well. Down, not super far, but, definitely has some pretty decent mobility in that neck, which is really cool. We start to see the spines, of course, those classic Godzilla spines pick up here, and they continue to have that same style of paintwork there as you move back again with the, lighter brown and tans kind of creeping through all of the different areas of the skin texture. And of course, Godzilla has just such a heavily armored look to him. You can see that is nicely portrayed through the sculpt of this figure as well, and I'm really, really impressed, again, when it comes to the quality of this. This is on another level when it comes to an articulated Godzilla figure. Now, I only have one Monster Arts figure, SH Monster Arts, and it's a Kong, so I've never seen a Godzilla from SH Monster Arts in person. And I have always heard that they have a pretty high quality to them as well, but I would definitely say, as of right now, Hiya Toys is the leader when it comes to high-quality Godzilla, at least articulated Godzilla figures. But, again, as I said, that's kind of like an argument between Hiya Toys and NECA, because I don't have any SH Monster Arts as far as Godzilla goes. You can see we also have articulation here in the shoulder as well as the elbow. Now, I do expect some of these joints to potentially be stiff because this is straight out of the package. It hasn't really been moved around or anything yet. We also have, we've got wrist articulation, which can swivel. And I don't know how much mobility we have in the wrist, but definitely a little bit there. And as you move down into the hands, you can see the hands as well. Again, sport a very nice, very realistic looking sculpt, very highly detailed sculpt. And again, the same style of paintwork that we see through the course of the figure. Nicely sculpted fingers, nicely sculpted claws as well. As we continue to move down here into the side of Godzilla, we continue to see again the very nice, very rough and rugged skin texture of Godzilla has been replicated very nicely. We've also got another joint of articulation here in the midsection. I don't know, it doesn't really do a whole lot, but just a little bit of extra articulation. But again, one thing that is very good in my opinion about these figures so far is how good of a job they do of creating articulation without it being super obvious that there are articulated joints. And I would honestly say they do a better job than NECA when it comes to that as well. As you move down a little bit further, we have the hip, and that is super smooth as far as that articulation goes. That's actually really impressive. And then we've got knee articulation. It looks like it's above and below the knee. Yes, it absolutely is. So that gives you even more really nice posability. And very, very smooth yet again. And then as you move down, you also got ankle articulation, just for a little extra added articulation. Nice posability for the Godzilla. And yet again, as you move through the leg, the paintwork looks absolutely phenomenal. Again, as does the sculpt work. I think that at this point, the sculpting is obviously very well done, but it's just nice to check through the entire figure to see how good the paintwork looks as you move through. And I can say it doesn't look like any area has been spared when it comes to delivering a very high quality paint job. You've got the very nicely sculpted foot, again, very nicely painted nails. They almost have a genuine sharp look to them, which is also a plus. And then we begin to move out here into the tail, and I'd imagine we've got quite a few articulated joints moving out, so you can clearly see we've got one right there, we've got another one right there, another one, and I'm not sure that looks like it should be one. Oh yeah, it is, it's just a little stiff. And then another one, and another one, another one, and then one final one out here at the end of the tail. So quite a bit of articulated joints as you move out. Again, we continue to have, as I said through the entire review, that nice rough and rugged looking skin texture, the nice variations of dark grays, as well as the khakis and browns moving out. We've got the spines, obviously decreasing in size as we lead out further into the tail, just like Godzilla looks in, King of the Monsters, which is a great film. I really love that movie. But you also, again, have the ability to now pose the tail of Godzilla quite nicely. Definitely has some very nice mobility to the tail. Not so much as far as up and down. You can straighten the tail out, but you can only go so far up with that curve. But it still looks really good. Seems to stay in place exactly as I put it, which is also a plus when it comes to an articulated figure like this. And then moving along the underside, you can yet again see every ounce of detail has been highlighted perfectly in the sculpt of this figure. It is really, really well done. I will say the articulated joints are definitely a little bit more obvious on the underside of the tail, but when you look at it from the side, they blend in really nicely. We also have, again, that paintwork here as far as like that wash, even on the undersides of the feet to highlight those. And same style again of sculpt and paint as you move up. Very nice looking, especially here in the chest region where you have those bigger areas of the kind of like, I don't know if you would call those scoots or scales or what, but as you move up you can see how nice of a job they've done when it comes to highlighting those as well, with all of the different light brown tones that they've used, and you can even see the throat of Godzilla. Of course, you're not really going to see a whole lot of difference over here on this side. It is a fully posable, fully articulated figure, so it's going to look pretty much the same on both sides, but you can see, again, as high quality as it honestly can get on both sides. And you can also see, again, the top of Godzilla moving along. It really is easily one of, if not the most impressive Godzilla figures I have ever had the pleasure of adding to my collection. This, in my opinion, is definitely a masterpiece when it comes to an articulated Godzilla. Another thing that's quite nice about this figure is it does have some pretty good size to it. I was kind of impressed when I pulled it open and pulled it out of the packaging and saw how large it was. It's not massive by any means. It's probably similar in size to NECA, maybe a little bit larger, but for a size lengthwise, you were looking at about 14¼ inches. We could probably extend the tail out. Yeah, once you extend the tail out, it gets closer to like 15 inches or around 38 centimeters. So definitely some decent length on our Godzilla. Height-wise, you were looking at almost 7 inches, pretty much on the dot, or about 18 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Hiya Toys King of the Monsters Godzilla figure. And you can see definitely a pretty good size to it. He is quite taller, I should say, than Mr. Papo Rex, and obviously bigger than everything that we have here in screen comparing with it. We've also got a Mattel Velociraptor and Mattel Dilophosaurus next to our Godzilla to give us yet another comparison. And then a few more randoms as we have the Safari LTD Tyrannus, the Schleich Diabloceratops, and Collect Date Deluxe Dimetrodon. We've also got a comparison with a Bandai Godzilla figure here, which you can clearly see is quite a bit smaller than the Hiya Toys Godzilla. And then for one final comparison, we have the NECA version of the King of the Monsters Godzilla next to the Hiya Toys version here on the right. And you can see the Hiya Toys version is quite a bit larger, and I honestly didn't expect that. I figured it would be a bit larger, but it's actually quite a bit larger, like even more than I expected. I thought maybe a little bit bigger, but, I didn't have the NECA version out here with it right away. But you can just, in general, looking at these two again, see a difference in quality. The NECA version does look very good. I am a big fan of NECA and all of the incredible figures that they've released, but without a doubt, the Hiya Toys version is superior in pretty much every way, I would say. So this brand new Hiya Toys Godzilla King of the Monsters figure is awesome, and such a really cool way to introduce myself to these figures with a legendary version of Godzilla, of course, because so far that seems to be all that they're making, but a King of the Monsters version, because I was a massive fan of the King of the Monsters film, and I feel like the design of Godzilla was just improved so much in that film compared to the very first legendary Godzilla. So definitely happy to have this version. Really excited when I saw that Big Bad Toy Store was finally shipping theirs out, and again, it is everything I thought it would be and so much more. It really is a great sculpt, very highly detailed, very crisp detail. It honestly looks like Godzilla as far as the way that the skin texture and everything looks on the CGI model of Godzilla in the film. It honestly looks just as good here in person on this Hiya Toys version. It is as highly detailed of a Godzilla as I honestly think you could find. And on top of that, we have some fantastic paintwork for this figure. The paintwork from head to tail is really high quality. You can see Hiya Toys definitely cares about their final product and how good it looks. They've done such a good job of adding in so many variations of light browns and, khakis and stuff to give this a really highly detailed look, but in the most realistic way possible. And you've got very nice articulation, which seems to be very smooth and definitely allows you to create some really cool poses and dioramas. I think the articulation on this feels probably about as smooth as it gets when it comes to an articulated Godzilla, and probably the winner between NECA and Hiya Toys as well when it comes to how good the articulation works. So as a whole, this figure is awesome, and I definitely now have a brand new addiction to these Hiya Toys Godzilla figures, and I can keep my fingers crossed. Now, again, I don't know a whole lot about Hiya Toys or what they're going to be doing with their Godzilla license, but I would love to see some older Godzilla figures, and not just Godzilla. I would love to see all sorts of different monsters like Varan or Titanosaurus or something get figures through them, because they would be instant purchases from me. But if you are interested in picking up this absolutely awesome figure, make sure you check the link that I will include in the description to Big Bad Toy Store, which is exactly where I purchased mine. So make sure you check that link, grab yourself one of these amazing Godzilla figures, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.